Hi, everyone, and welcome to Parallel Paths, a podcast where two and sometimes three women share their life and musings from the lens of modern philosophy, vulnerability, and always hilarity. I'm your host, Kelsey, and I'm joined today by not one, but two Ashleys. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Yay.
Yeah, we have a special treat today. Today's an exclusive episode with a master astrologer and human design guru and a very dear friend, Ashley Gonzalez. She'll be sharing her story, when she uses each tool, and we'll discuss why we love these tools and why we decided to dedicate a whole lengthy episode to them. Ashley is not only intelligent and smart, but so wise and so wonderful. I have known her since high school, and we were light friends then. But after high school, we serendipitously were in the same breathwork training class. Same weekend, based out of California. It was
No.
divine. It was so divine. There was no way we should have accidentally been there together. And since then, we have realized how parallel our paths really are and have been there for each other through a lot. Just a little aside, we are both Aquarius risings and have a lot of Scorpio stuff going on. So we relate there a lot. What's so fun about today is Kelsey and Ashley are both really, really into and good at astrology. I've learned astrology from both of them. And me and Ashley are both really into human design. So we get to get a really good look at both. And Kelsey and I will get to kind of riff on it and ask questions. It'll be so good. So, anyways, Ashley, do you want to say hi real quick before we do some gratitude?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. And your words are so kind. I receive them.
I receive.
I receive.
Win.
Whoa!
What?
Not the
Wow.
harmonizing.
That's epic. So the concept of you all landing at the same breathwork all of a sudden after you already knew each other was it in California or California based?
It was California based.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either
so
way.
both of us were in Utah doing an online training. And we just
But it's a
happened
small
to end up.
company.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
wasn't
one of
like.
the main ones. Yeah.
No.
That's incredible.
And
wow.
like. Ash and I followed each other on social media, and like
Mhm.
we were in high school. Since she was a couple years younger than me, we had like mutual friendships, but and like I knew who she was and stuff, but we weren't friends like that. And
Yeah.
then when we ended up in that training together, we were like, no way. How? Like,
Mm.
I didn't even know you were into this. Like,
You're
it
weird.
was so
I'm
cool.
weird.
Let's be weird together.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh,
cute.
And then along the way, like, we have found out I mean, we obviously have the same name. Our
Yeah.
dads have the same name.
we share
like,
trauma.
we share similar griefy trauma.
Mm-hmm.
As the
And
cool
other
girls do.
And it's just been wild to watch. I mean, this is perfect for parallel paths because it's been wild to watch. I mean, it's been what, like 5 years? 4 years? It was
Almost 5
2021.
years. Yeah.
When we ended up in that training together, and we've just been able to see each other like, I'm same, you same.
You same. What a cool container that I get to be with two gals right now that were serendipitous meetings where it was just like, yes.
The universe conspiring in our
in.
favors. Yes.
I love it. Okay, so normally we do some bits, some games, but for sake of giving Ashley the time to really get into some good stuff, we're just going to hit gratitudes today. There was one thing I didn't mention. I really want to share who this podcast is for. So we discussed doing it at a level that is what I would call begintermediate. So some base level of either. If you're a beginner but you're interested, as I like to say, just let it wash over you like poetry. You don't have to catch on to everything, but just see what sparks you and lights you up. If you're intermediate or even beyond, you're going to get some good nuggets from this, just from the conversations we'll have and the pieces we'll pull and the little. Astrology and human design go so deep, so we're going to touch on some deeper points, but we'll share them at a level that a beginner could listen to as well. But we're just going to do our gratitude today. Ashley, are you willing to do that with us? Will you join us in prayer, in gratitude?
I will. I would love to join you in gratitude.
Yay! Okay, well, let's definitely start with our listener comment gratitude.
Please let me do it. I've been chomping at the
Please.
bit because I get so excited. By the way, shout out, my gratitude for the week is the multiple people that message me that they're PPs. And I met a PP in person, Ashley's friend Fiona. Shout out Fiona. So my gratitude is absolutely just the interactions we have with our audience. But I will read Mary Jo, special shout out. She says, my gratitude this week is for both of you for showing up vulnerably. So first of all, thank you for that, because I had to go through a conversation on a date that went publicly. No, actually, it was iconic. But she goes on and says, also a special gratitude shout out to Lindsay R., our really incredible fan that had our first shout out, for being my best friend since I met her in preschool. And then she says Sunbow baby. I'm assuming Sunbow is something about the preschool name, but that's really cute. We are so, so happy to hear our community commenting, loving each other, loving us, especially. So thank you, Mary Jo.
Hey, amazing.
Okay, which Ashley wants to go next?
I'm going to let you take it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we just saying something we're grateful for?
Yeah, just literally anything.
Okay. I'm grateful to have 4 doggies in my house right now.
Ooh.
I'm dogs. We have 2 dogs, but we're dog sitting right now too. So if there's a few barks in the background that end up needing to
Fair.
get edited out later, just
Will not edit out.
They're part of the pod.
or don't. They're part of the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, this morning I woke up with 4 dogs on top of me. And I really couldn't ask for anything better to start my day.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So
very, very quick
And
aside.
my husband too, but like the dogs are better.
Yeah.
A double shout out. Dogs
shout out.
times 4.
She woke up with dogs and her husband on top of her.
That's incredible dream life.
Well,
Big cuddle puddle.
I wish
Quick
he was
aside,
on top of
I
me.
once
No,
had
I'm
a
just kidding.
dream. I once had a dream that I think was my heaven. It was me in a giant, like endless white space with a very, very, very giant, extremely comfy white bed. And in the bed was a version of every breed of dog on the planet as a puppy running around playing with me.
Oh,
That's
That's
so
the best.
cute.
And I woke up and I was like, I think that's actually just another realm where I'm in heaven. Yeah.
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 So that's what I can
basically-
look forward to.
Yeah. You're Ashley's halfway there. Incredible.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
halfway there.
Ashley L,
Amazing.
go for it.
My gratitude this week is for the storm that is coming, which maybe is a little controversial. I know it can be very dangerous. I am grateful that this storm it's shown me how loved and supported I am. My cousin drove an hour and a half one way to bring me a generator and went through a whole rigmarole to get it from her husband's employee who had it, get it to me. It's 300 pounds. Just in case we lose anything. And Kyle has been so sweet and like, I'll take care of it. I'll set up the house. You go to Puerto Rico. Like, I don't want you here. I can be here. I got this. So it's just, while it freaked me out the first day I heard about it, I've been really grateful for it and the way that it has shown me how loved I am. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So cute. Love it.
Love, that's
All
a
right.
cute one. Wait,
So next
can I
week
do a quick shout out? 'Cause this is not a gratitude, but it's a listener comment shout out, and this is for
Yeah.
Emily. Last week, we talked about something very important in this from a spiritual lens, and it's that Home Depot has hot dogs in some states.
I'm
Now,
sorry, what?
okay, at Home
Yeah.
Depot, yeah, no,
Right?
yeah,
Not
thank
in
you.
Utah.
Hey, in Illinois, where I'm from, there are hot dogs at Home Depots, and right before we hopped on to record last week, I was talking to my twin brother, and he had this hot dog situation. We were talking about it. I was shocked that Ashley didn't know of this. Turns
No, the
out
amount of disrespect that I feel from my Home Depot.
literally, my brother listens to the episode. He's sending me Reddit threads about the concept of Texas actually doesn't have these hot dogs. My friend Emily is commenting on the show below. So, Emily, thank you for commenting and also being invested in this hot dog situation. We have a family trip to a Home Depot that does have these hot dogs in the works. We'll let all of you in our community know when we're going to get a Home Depot hot dog
Ugh,
and where to locate that. But if that's the
ugh.
first meetup, we've succeeded.
Yeah. I hope I'm there for that, and if not, send me one in the mail. Send me a
If
hot dog in an envelope.
if we do a parallel paths group trip and you don't come, that'll suck. So yeah, you'll be there.
Okay. I love it.
Cool, that's it.
Should we get into it? Oh
We
my god.
shall.
Okay, I love it. Well, before we dive too deep into either one, since we are a spirituality based podcast, well, we're spirituality. You guys get it. You know, we already did the intro. Our question for you, Ashley, is did you have a quote unquote spiritual awakening? And what was that experience like?
Mm, I love this question because yes, I have, but I also can't just pinpoint one spiritual awakening because I've had many a spiritual awakening. And it's like every layer that you go down, it's like almost like an onion, like it just keeps peeling and peeling and peeling, and you go deeper. And sometimes everything you thought you knew is like, okay, none of that's true now. And, you know, but the first one that I can like specifically remember,
Yeah.
um, was probably it. It was probably when I made the transition from becoming an esthetician to a breathwork astrologer, human design guru person, whatever you want to call me. Um, and I was about 25. I had had other things before that, but this one in particular was like the first time I felt like I was really truly lost in the abyss of a spiritual awakening, which is a phase, I feel. I mean, like just feeling completely lost and feeling like you have to surrender to anything that used to help you survive up until that point. Mm, all that kind of came crashing down around 25, and I'm 31 now. So,
I'm interested that you went all the way into breathwork and astrology guru, and then we're like, another spiritual awakening. That's like that goes pretty hard in the paint, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, I've
I
had,
think it's
like I said, I've had many. I've had many.
He's
That's
had
the one that
many.
stands out most.
That's a
mm,
really interesting pivotal moment and kind of leads to a question I had is what got you into astrology and or human design generally?
Okay, so with astrology, I've been into that since I was a kid. I actually feel like I have a pretty untraditional um story where my mom was actually like really into that stuff
mm,
Interesting.
in her 20s growing up, and I remember when I used to go, when we would get ready for bed every night, my mom would like turn on her water fountain and she would turn on her Tai Chi CD and do some like wind down stretches. She had
Ew.
a tarot deck. She had like a binder full of this huge astrology reading that she did, I think maybe when I was a baby or before I was born. And so it was just like in our bookshelf and I would, read about stuff, and I just kind of had a natural I've always been a big reader from the time
Mhm.
I was a kid, and so that was kind of my first introduction to astrology was my mom. Um,
How old were you
but
reading that book?
um
Tell me you
probably
were 7.
younger than I should have been.
Iconic. That's so cool. It's so
That's
Scorpio
honestly very
stellium.
Kelsey coded too.
Honestly,
I love
I
it.
think I was probably 6 or 7, like my first tangible. I mean, I was alone a lot. I was an only child growing up.
Mm.
I now have siblings that are, like, much younger than me, but I spent a lot of my time in my mom's bookshelf, and so sometimes when she was working, I would read things I probably shouldn't have, including her astrology analysis. And so that was the first introduction to astrology. With human design, it was a little bit different. It was actually during the big event, I won't say the word for algorithm purposes, but the 2020
Mm.
situation. Um, when everything was shut down, I was still a practicing esthetician at this time. I specialized in acne and eyelash extensions. Of course, two very random ends of the
Nice.
spectrum.
Cool. Vibe.
I'm a manifesting generator in human design and have a Gemini moon, so I can't just do one thing. And so when everything shut down, it's like, I don't know how it was everywhere else, but here in Utah, it was like everyone shut down for 2 weeks and that was about it. And for
Not
me,
Chicago.
yeah, I bet. For me, it was like the first time I realized, oh my gosh, I'm excited to close. And I didn't know why yet.
Mm.
And I stayed closed longer than like any of the other estheticians that were in my rental space. Like everyone went back to work and was doing things. And I was just like, nope, I'm excited to close. I'm going to take a beat. And I closed for 6 weeks. And in that 6 weeks, I discovered human design, probably on social media, would be my guess. Like just scrolling Instagram. I was like, what is this? It was through reading more about human design. Like once I got it, it became a hyperfixation, obsession. I had to read every book on it, listen to every podcast, everything I could find my hands on. And that is what led me to becoming human design astrologer, breathwork facilitator, is I was finding what lit me up and letting go of what didn't. And there were parts of being an esthetician that I loved that did light me up, but not the esthetician work itself.
Beautiful.
Mm.
So that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. How did that line up with your spiritual awakening? Were they hand
It
in
was
hand?
like, yep, that was the same time. Same
'Kay.
time. And it wasn't an overnight decision. I feel like this is a very common misconception with spiritual awakenings is that it's just like everything all at once and now you're just this all-knowing being when actually like I know way less now than I did when I was 25. I thought I knew everything at 25.
Totally.
Um and now I'm 31 and I don't know
Now you know what you don't
anything.
know.
Is yeah, and
That's
not.
on humility.
But yeah, it was part of the surrender because I had identified myself with being an esthetician for 6.5 years. And I was, when we're 19, we're sold this thing, 18, 19, we're sold this idea that like you have to pick exactly what you're doing for the rest of your
Yeah,
life at 18. Um, I do feel like that stigma is getting better as certain transits are occurring.
totally.
But it it was like a 1.5 year process from letting go of being an esthetician, um, making the like I had made the decision in May of 2020. I didn't close my business until December. And then I also went and got like a normal corporate 9 to 5 banking job. That was how I built my first business. Was I was a bank teller and then quit that as soon as I could sustain myself being an esthetician. So I went back to that for about 9 months. And this was while I was continuing to learn human design and diving back into astrology in a different way. Up until that point, I had been more like into the stereotypical pop astrology where you're just like looking at your daily horoscope type of thing. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to actually read a chart. And that was the time when I started learning, was all at the same time. And it was about a year and a
Cool.
half long process.
Wow.
Cool.
I think it's really authentic to hear you talk about an awakening and learnings as this kind of like rolling, ongoing process. I do think certain people do have like giant aha, transcendental experiences for sure, but it's very, very common for people to just have these nudges from the universe, so to speak, and kind of be redirected and your algorithms showing you things that open your mind in a new way and suddenly resonates even if you've been interested in it before. So yeah, I like to hear that perspective and like to share that perspective publicly. I'm very similar in that I'm extraordinarily spiritual, but there was no on a mountaintop aha moment for me. It's been really integrated in my belief system for a long time and continues to evolve. And right. And sometimes I might feel slightly differently about some. I actually felt kind of negative on human design for a while. I don't know why I had this perception that it just wasn't as valuable to me as a bunch of other spiritual practices, and have recently changed my tune a ton on it. I'm obsessed with my innocence perspective. We'll get into that later if you want. But it's I'm re-navigating how I make decisions, and it feels really, really resonant now. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I wonder, Ashley, what you think about spiritual awakenings generally, and I don't know, the focus some people have on sensationalizing the experience.
Yeah, let me make a little note here. So, the reason I said spiritual awakening in air quotes is because I think that word has been sensationalized, and I wanted to give it the caveat of whatever that is for you because it's so much more casual than not most of the time.
Yeah.
And I know there have been some really cool spiritual awakenings that were on a mountaintop and led to some great works being created, but more often than not, they've just led to spiritual psychosis for people. LOL. But I really, you sharing, like, I didn't used to resonate with human design. I was like, whatever, that's poppy, for lack of a better term. I felt a similar way about astrology. Like, I was interested in it, but it just wouldn't stick. And I think I've shared both shared that with both of you.
Yeah.
Like, it
Mhm.
just, I want to learn it and it won't stick. And now it's starting to stick. And the questions I ask will relate to astrology or they'll relate to human design. So it's just funny how things are right there for us when we're ready for them. As
Totally.
I'm sure this podcast will be for the listeners who are like, oh, there it is. Like, it's clicking. I want to go. That's what I want. That's what I need, whatever it is. Um, which segues great into the next question I had for Ashley of you were talking about doing them at the same time. So you had this base of astrology. you got introduced to human design later, but then you really learned both of them at the same time. So can you share how they differ, how they build on each other, and when you're going to use each tool? 3-part question.
Oh, okay. Hopefully my ADHD remembers all 3 parts.
I'll make a
It
note.
won't.
It won't.
Spoiler, it won't. Okay, so I guess I'll start with, like, how I would use each one. See, I already forgot the question. Break it down,
Yes,
baby.
start there. Start there. How you use each one.
Okay, so this is the best way that I can describe it. So, human design and astrology, they're both rooted in very similar things because human design does take astrology into account of the system. But the way that I use them and the way that I use them with like my clients and my people who work with me, human de- astrology is like who you were born to be. It's like you have this energetic planetary imprint. All the planets are in a certain place in the sky at the time that you take your first breath. And so, therefore, you have this planetary imprint that creates these contracts essentially and life patterns based on how your planetary imprint was when you took that first breath. So your natal chart is you, us, ourselves, like at our core. Um and then you can use, the current day planetary transits to track how those planets communicate with your imprint on your chart, right? So pattern recognition, very much so. Human design is the how. How does our energy get to the soul life contract that we were born with? So it's like astrology is almost the what, and human design is the how we get there. How does our energy align with our purpose, essentially? Does that kind of make sense?
That makes great sense. I'm gagged. That was an incredible, like, a
I'm
concise
gagged.
but effective way to communicate that. I thought that was awesome. Ashley, the
The
other parts of the
I have a
question?
question. Yes. You say astrology is the what? The what of what? Like the what is happening or the what our life is meant to be? What's the rest of the what?
I would say
What?
both of those things because there's so
Okay.
many things that you can look at in a birth chart.
Mm,
Um, most people on the street know their sun sign. Like even people who know nothing about astrology, totally reject it. You ask any random person on the street, like, "Hey, what's your zodiac sign?" They probably know their sun sign. But every single person has all 12 signs incorporated some way in their chart. And the 12 signs is like a culmination of evolution, essentially, like soul evolution.
well, that's lit.
So,
Put that on merch. Merch.
merch. So it's like the what with the astrology is yes, it can show us personality. Yes, it can show us like career aspects, how we make money, what our soul is here to do, some of the hard knock patterns that are here to occur over and over in life that we're here to learn from. That's the what. And then the human design is like, okay, how do I align my energy so my body feels good while I'm getting there?
I like
Yeah.
that.
I think of the what in that way as I always say this, it's our propensities. So sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're less helpful. They're themes that we're going to encounter, and they might manifest in different ways, but you can get a pretty good lay of like, hey, you kind of have this, your nature is sort of like this, these themes are going to come up, these dynamics are going to come up. So, Ashley, you don't know this, but I have a twin brother. So, I have this total fascination of astrology through the lens of these themes and propensities, which do come forward in totally different ways for us. And so it's been a really interesting kind of check on my belief in astrology because I have this other person with the same chart who I'm intricately involved in how his life is flowing and going, and it's very different than mine. But it's interesting. You can kind of see themes and cycles that we both have, or pieces of our nature that are very aligned. And so, yeah, it's wild how complex astrology is in the what, right? Because the what is not just straightforward. I'm a Capricorn, whatever, so I'm blank. It's so intricately involved, which is why I was gassed up when she's saying every person holds all 12 signs in various ways, and it's so beautiful, but it is totally complicated.
Mm, a
Totally.
beautiful mess, which is what us neurodivergents just love. Give me
Uh,
some intricate.
I find that reading a chart, it can get narrowed down to a few major themes. So, like if I'm doing a natal reading, there's so many pieces, but if you really take a step back or go high level after you've gone granular, you're sort of like, all right, you're gonna do this and not do this, but your soul wants to do the opposite. So let's figure out how to get there. I like the lens that human design can help you to constructively do that. That's
Yeah, here's
cool.
how you can do it feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool piece about I think about that often with your twin of how they're so different, and it's cool that astrology is teaching you through that way too. Like Ashley mentioned, it's or no, you said it. These are propensities, and so how does that show up for you versus him?
Hmm.
And we kind of talked about this at one point, man versus a woman and how
Yeah.
hormones play into it and how different life
Totally.
experiences play into it and Ashley loves that too. Trauma informed human design. That girl goes crazy there. So, question for you, Ashley, what has doing these readings both in a professional setting and for yourself and for your people and looking at your own chart, what has it taught you about yourself, the world? What have you learned through using these tools? Either one or both.
So many things. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like how so many of us, especially when there's like a major planetary transit going on, or like if we're in eclipse season or something, like it has taught me specifically with astrology that everyone's going through something. Like we're
Mhm.
all sure, Becky down the street might have her career all figured out, but maybe her hard knocks lesson in this life is romantic relationships or whatever. Like
Becky.
everyone has something that we came here to learn. And so it's not just going to be easy for everybody and vice versa. Um it's also given me a lot of grace like within my own chart. And I do have to be careful with this cuz I don't want it to come off as like victim mindset, very Piscean. Not that all Pisces are victims.
Go
I'm
by
not saying
Pisces.
that,
So
Go
many
by Pisces.
caveats in this
but
caveat.
that is one of the shadow sides of Pisces. It can be victim and martyrdom mindset. Um, but it has given me a lot of grace within my own chart because I do have some like really rough placements in my chart. And so there have been some things where it's like, okay, I do have limitation and restriction in this area. Can I use it as empowerment? Yes, absolutely. We all have free will. That's been another thing that this has really taught me
Mm,
personally is like that um there's there's controversy in the astrology world between like fate and free will, what's
mm.
fatalistic, how much control do we actually have over our own outcomes? I am a big believer in free will, and back to the twins reference, having twins is like a really straightforward explanation of that, or example of that, is that you can have two people that are born at the same exact time, have the same exact birth chart, same place, all the things, but they can manifest in completely different ways because every time you make a decision, there's like a web of other decisions that you didn't make,
Right.
right? Which, like, that can be a whole spiritual rabbit hole to go into anyway. But it has taught me, like, yes, you might have this energy that you're dealing with, but what are you going to do with the energy? How are you going to work with the energy instead of against the energy
Right.
and lean into what the universe, what source is trying to teach us, versus reacting to it in a
Yeah,
way that maybe doesn't serve us?
Mm,
totally.
talk your shit.
We actually have talked quite a bit on this podcast about just like judgment of people or dealing with the life around us. And I always say that it's not really my nature to be too judgy. I like run more neutral, but I think some of it is that I'm an astrologer, right? So you see how everyone comes in with challenges and gifts, and it's harder to view someone in an acute scenario messing up or acting weird, and you're like, dude, there's infinite reasons why this might be really challenging for them, and also, I'm well aware of infinite reasons other things are challenging for other people or just run so easy. And similarly, I found more grace for myself as well in that process where it's like, man, I feel like I never succeed in blank theme of my life, whatever. And it's like, well, this was a lesson I came in to learn. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, maybe that's a cool takeaway. We always try to leave the audience with some takeaways. This noting that the more wisdom of the collective of people you have, the more you realize like we're all the same, truly. And just
Yeah.
like let people succeed or not succeed in certain aspects of their life and it not become a judgment of them because you never know what they're here to learn. But
Mm,
that's interesting.
Totally.
So we
amazing.
wanted we wanted to see kind of like we were talking about some questions beforehand, what you sort of take from astrology and human design, which is very similar to what we just mentioned. So if that seems too similar, just skip it. But like if you think of the practices more globally, like what is it that you leave those practices and learn about the world aside from acutely about humans?
Hmm. Oh, that's a deep question. And I love it.
Honestly,
I
the
love it.
think free will is a version of that. And I wanted to ask that too. So I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry if you need to cut this out. Can you, like, repeat that question a little
Yeah.
bit? I feel like it needs to sink in.
Totally. No, like if you're thinking about the practices of astrology and human design more globally versus like zooming in on a specific chart, like what do you take about the world with the intricacies of these kind of like philosophies of life?
Oh, okay. I What comes through immediately, um, is that this stuff isn't as taboo as you think it is. Because I'll tell you what, um, all of this stuff, like astrology and human design, and even, the spiritual practices like Reiki, breath work, all these things, they can get demonized a
Yeah.
lot. I do feel like in the Neptune and Saturn and Pisces era, it's
Mm.
almost gone like too far the other direction where now everybody's love and light and everybody's surrendering and doing drugs and all the things, right? But
Totally.
what it has taught me is that, like, globally, people are interested in this
Yeah.
stuff. And,
Yeah.
like, I'm not that weird for being so interested in it. Because whenever somebody is going through a major life transition, who do they call?
Mhm.
Who do
Mhm.
they
That's
text?
that's also Kelsey core.
Mhm. I feel seen in this moment.
It's not to say that, like, I'm this perfect fixer for
Yeah.
everybody,
No.
right? Nor do I want to be. I do like having astrology and human design as a basic lens. It's like, yeah, like just for a tangible example, Tune has been in Pisces since 2011, right? It's been hovering at this 29th degree for a minute, keeps going back and forth between Aries and Pisces. It goes into Aries next week at the time that we're recording this. This is January 24th. So on the 26th, it'll be in Aries. It'll be in a completely different energy. And so when you have the astrologer lens, you're like, okay, everything feels like it's smoke and mirrors right now. Neptune represents like our spirituality, our
Mm.
media, are like the type of people that we idealize and idolize. And it represents a lot of other things too, but with it being in such like a murky Piscean energy, which it really thrives in too, um it can just show like, okay, the world is losing its mind right now and it'll be okay.
So what
It'll
can
be
our listeners
okay.
what can we expect when it goes into Aries? What are the shifts that you can see thematically, and do you have any predictions of how that'll show up if you want to go there?
Mm, mm. Depends on what you want to talk about in this podcast, but
Go there. Go there.
Go there.
but we will talk about energy and frequency. Okay. How about that? Because that's really all that astrology is. It is not a fatalistic thing, in my opinion. That is opinion. Um, But what it does do is it helps us tune in to these energies and frequencies that might be unconscious to us. And it helps us bring it to the conscious so we know what to do with it. And so, with Saturn and Neptune both being in Pisces, Neptune has been in there since 2011. Saturn has been there since 2023. I'm just completing my Saturn return era as well. Cannot wait for it to go into Aries, respectfully, with Ashley.
Yeah.
She has Saturn in Aries.
Aries, yeah.
Yep.
But the biggest change, like Neptune and, or I'm sorry, Pisces and Aries are two wildly different energies.
Totally.
Wildly different energies. Uh, Aries is the first of the zodiac. It's the initiator. It is the first zodiac sign that was born. Um, Pisces is a culmination of all 12 signs. It's the completion sign. It's the sign of surrender and collectivism and, kumbaya, which can be beautiful and also go in a shadowy direction too, of not having any structure, right? So, particularly with Neptune, the biggest energetic shift that we're going to feel is things are going to feel like it's faster.
Mhm.
Like our dreams, our intuition, our like gut responses, if you have a gut response, which is another thing we can talk about in human design. Um that's going to come so much quicker in the moment.
Mm.
Pisces is kind of like we're moving through mud, especially with Saturn being there too. Saturn represents time, slowness, restriction. And it's really an area, like wherever Saturn is moving in your chart, it's an area that is telling you like, hey, you need to slow down and focus on this.
Mhm.
Um, and anything that you're previously attached to is probably going to fall away and disappear. um, So with it shifting into Aries, it's like life is going to feel faster. Um, I do worry this is I don't feel like this is fear mongering because I don't like when astrologers gatekeep. Um, we can probably anticipate some war times happening in the future.
Mm,
Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars represent one of the things that Mars represents is war. It doesn't have to manifest that way. This is where, collective manifestation and free will can come in. But the other biggest change is like we're going from this kind of victim martyrdom, like the last few years, it's been very much about trauma healing, trauma work, processing the trauma, going to therapy. When Neptune entered Pisces in 2011, we really saw the normalization of like pharmaceuticals for mental health and all those things. And now it's going to be shifting into like, if you don't stand on business and actually practice what you preach and be independent in your own views, your energy, your nervous system, like if you're taking care is the wrong word. If you're not taking ownership of your own nervous system in this next era, you are going to struggle.
Poof.
You're going to struggle and you're going to have some lessons that need to be learned because Aries is a very independent energy, whereas Pisces was a very codependent energy. And it's very like, uh, I am this way because of my childhood. I am this way because I have trauma. You triggered me, so we need safe rooms where I don't feel triggered. Like those types of themes are very much ending, and we're very much going into what you see is what you get, and that is what is going to be idealized on social media too. Even if what you see is what you get is something you don't like,
Mm.
it's still
mm,
going to be successful because they're being authentic.
yeah,
Amazing.
It's a little
I
easier to hide stuff with Pisces energy.
totally.
Mm. I love the way you wrapped that up from what you talked about initially of bringing energies from the subconscious to the conscious. Here's what could come up. You can work with it or not. It's not some fate thing, fatalistic. You said that makes me think death. That's crazy. Fatality. It's not some fatalistic thing of this is going to happen. This means war, da da da. But this is where the free will comes in, and here's the energies. And are you going to express and be in this energy and contribute in a way of the higher expression of the Aries or the lower expression of the Aries? So
Yep.
good.
Yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying, and it's very evident in the collective. Like, I think when you get to the later degrees of a sign, so in the later degrees of Pisces was kind of the culmination of these themes, right? You just kind of get sick of it, and I think
Everyone's sick of it.
you can kind of see the collective. Like, I'm so sick of everyone just canceling all their plans with me while citing loneliness because they're like they need to tune to themselves a little bit more or whatever. It's just that self-empowerment coming with Aries holding these energies is going to feel like a relief, I think, collectively. And once people feel a little bit more empowered to own where they are and their wellness and their loneliness or lack thereof, I think that will actually be constructive for a while. Who knows what'll happen at the later degrees of that all in Aries,
We'll be
but
sick of it
I'm
then
ready for
too.
it. I actually
I'm
made a
ready for
TikTok
it.
about this, like, "Hey, if we wanna collectively kinda continue to rise," and a lot of us in the spiritual community think that's where we're headed. I was basically saying in the TikTok, like, "You can't do that by sitting in shadow and trauma for every second of your day, so at some point, you have to stand up and find the joy and empowerment that you do hold," and a lot of people loved that video, and then a couple people were totally like, "What?"
Leave me in my
And I'm
shadow.
triggered, but I had a bad childhood, and I remember thinking, "That's funny." That's because I very much value someone's perspective of their own trauma, but we can't live in it anymore. I just don't think it's going to be successful as well. So that's a cool takeaway.
Yeah, one more other like energetic theme that I'm seeing shifting too that I think will continue that I feel like is very important for anyone who creates content or has a business of any sort. Um even if you don't have a business, I would say this applies in your workplace too. Um and that is like the Instagram grid facade of
Oh,
this is how many followers I have, this is how many sales I have, this, that, and the other being manufactured behind smoke and mirrors while people's, you know, I I want to say while people's lives are falling apart behind the scenes. Um which that's okay too. It's like you don't necessarily always want to put everything out there for the internet to see
right.
because there's a lot of energy, spiritual stuff behind that too. But like as I'm sure many or I'm sure both of you have had this experience too where someone maybe you idealized during this Neptune and Pisces era, you meet them and you get to know them and you're like that is not that is not what I thought was happening. Or you find out that they like bought all of their followers or they have, like the nice fancy car but it's leased or like you know what I'm saying? Like you find out these things like, that's kinda how the energy has been
Yeah.
like this influencer, celebrity type of era, and we're kinda seeing that fall, and a lot of people are not, falling into the same sales traps as before, like,
Yeah.
buy my course, listen to my podcast, this, that, and the other. I know that's hypocritical to say as we are on a podcast right now, but
We can live
But
in
an
the
authentic
dichotomy.
one.
but you know what I'm
But an
saying? It's
authentic
like
one.
Totally.
An Aries podcast.
yeah. But the difference is
LOL.
gonna be, like, instead of having, like, the podcast that has the big fancy set and the whole team of people and, like, instead of those types of things being idolized, it's gonna be more like the person who's just sitting down and recording on their phone.
Yeah.
And just like this is who I am, this is what's happening. Um, I'm in ownership of that. Does that kind of
Yeah.
Totally. I before you said that about the car, I was gonna say it's like the energy of someone posting with a Lamborghini in the parking garage pretending
And
it's
they
theirs.
rented it. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
even
It's
better.
totally that Neptune and
Yes.
Piscean energy, all fuzzy rose-colored glasses. So it's like rose-colored glasses on fuzziness. Maybe Ashley, for a sec, we don't need to go crazy into it, but talk about the Pluto Capricorn to Aquarius in the last year, because I think that's kind of tied to this structure as well that we're moving into.
100%. So I'm glad you brought this up because it came in my mind earlier and I forgot. So this is an incredibly activating time for anybody who has Scorpio placements. And the
Good
reason
luck,
for that,
Ashley.
I know
Everybody actually
my
has like 5 planets
So
in
yeah,
many,
Scorpio.
I
so
I have
many.
I have a lot of Scorpio. I am very Scorpio dominant.
Oh.
Um, but Pluto, so Aquarius, um, for those
Is
who
Pluto in
don't,
Aquarius? Yeah, catch me up.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
Pluto's in
okay,
Aquarius
so
right now.
yep, and it has been there for a little over a year now. Um, just so I can give some backstory on what retrogrades are so that I can kind of explain what
Do
happened
it.
with Pluto the last few years. So whenever a planet goes into retrograde, most people have heard of Mercury retrograde, but don't realize that like all the other planets have retrogrades too. Some more often than others, depending on the orbit. And so what a retrograde is when you're standing here from Earth's perspective, that planet looks like it's going backwards in the sky from Earth's perspective or backwards in the zodiac. Mm, It doesn't mean it's actually like rotating backwards. It's just an optical illusion, but the energy shifts here on Earth because of it. Well, 2023, 2024, Pluto was kind of playing this dance between Capricorn, where it had been for, I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you know, Kelsey? When
Don't.
Pluto moved, 2008. It was 2008.
There she
I
goes.
know that because it was the financial crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Capricorn. So Pluto is a planet that represents like our power and control systems and deep transformation, deep shadow work. And so it's a generational planet that we can kind of see when it's in a sign for a really long time, usually 10 to 15 years per sign. We can see that that area in the collective gets like excavated and all the corruption comes out about that area of life.
Lit.
So when it was in Capricorn, it was like all of the financial stuff and like the financial crisis, bailing out all the banks, things like that. And we saw like all of the government corruption that went on too. Pluto is very tied with government themes. And then on a personal level, it shows, what's being deeply transformed in our own charts. So between 23 and 24, it was retrograding back and forth, back and forth. This is when we started to see AI really ramp up and become normalized essentially overnight was when Pluto first made its first ingress into Aquarius in like 2023. And now it's permanently in Aquarius for like the next 20 years. This is the energy we're going to be in. And so anyone who has dominant Scorpio placements, Pluto is going to be activating that part of the chart. I love talking about this because it goes into generations. Like, you know how generations tend to not like each other?
Yes.
Like older generation usually has a thing with the younger generation. Well, I see this in astrology because of how signs clash with each other or mesh with each other. And Aquarius and Scorpio are squaring each other. And a square in astrology means tension. It means like tension that creates action, but it's almost like a type of energy.
Yeah.
And so anyone who has Pluto in Scorpio or any other Scorpio placement, you're going to be heavily activated at some point over the next 20 years. Um, in astrology, it doesn't line up perfectly, but millennials, generally speaking, are the Pluto and Scorpio generation.
I am
Me
one,
too.
yes.
We have a cutie little Pluto in Sag over here who's going to help us burn it all down.
He's got a baby.
Yay.
Little
A
baby.
fire sign, but you can see this in the generation with millennials. We clash with the Pluto in Leo generation, which is the boomers. And so there's this clash, there's this war between what was old and what needs to be developed, transformed, and new. And millennials who have Pluto and Scorpio have like an extra layer to that because Pluto is at home in the sign of Scorpio. So it's like
Mm.
extra deep transformation. And as millennials start to gain more power in life, on a personal level, it will also shift things collectively too. That's going to be the biggest thing during the Pluto in Aquarius era is like the Pluto and Scorpio generation is about to be heavily, heavily activated.
I'm excited. I'm
This
ready
is
for
crazy.
it.
Hmm. Everything's
Pluto.
going to change.
I love that. I'm a sicko. We'll get to my chart in a sec, but I have my sun exactly opposite Pluto, so I'm a sun in Taurus opposite to the degree. My
Mm.
Pluto Scorpio, but yeah, I'm a sicko for change. I'm like, let's go. Let's
I'm a
see.
sicko.
Capricorn has it made me think of that Lamborghini in the garage that people are talking to, or people took pictures with and pretended they were theirs for a while. It triggered that for me because Capricorn is so tied in my mind with like capitalism and the hierarchy of like the CEO, old time boss guy, and that power dynamic. So the power dynamic Pluto and Capricorn of that kind of old way of having like an influencer that has this hierarchy over people of this, they're rich and they have this fancy car and they're traveling while you're all working, shifting a lot, where Aquarius, where Pluto is now, is much more collectivistic, it's more humanitarian, it's more authentic. So that kind of just continues to resonate with what we were talking about with Saturn and Neptune, is that kind of like aspirational, maybe inauthentic version of people is not going to be as compelling at all. And I love that. But I'm also excited
Mm.
for the transformation as a Scorpio Pluto. So
Yeah, and
good.
it's also like power is coming back to the people where
Yeah,
it has been drained to the systems, which was very
totally.
Capricornius, as I like to say. um, and so, but the thing is like, I don't want to sugarcoat that it's going to be like this magical, everyone's going to have a love and light time. Like, Pluto and Scorpio is, or I'm sorry, Pluto and Aquarius is gonna be a challenging time. But by the end of it, all of the corruption around like AI, the internet, all the systems that, you know, are Aquarian themed, like very forward
Yeah.
thinking themed. The people are going to have more power over that than the centralized systems will over the next 20 years. And
So lit.
millennials are going to be a massive part of building those systems. No pressure.
No
All the
pressure,
millennials
millennials.
listening are like taking a AI 101 course real quick.
Yeah.
Honestly, as Pluto goes back and forth, Ashley mentioned these retrogrades that have been happening. You see when Pluto goes in or ingresses into the next sign, Aquarius, the themes pop up of what it will be. So that's why she's saying AI is so important, because the few times Pluto was just temporarily in Aquarius, there was always big news or innovation around AI. So, and Aquarius is in itself a very innovative sign. So it will be, the AI theme will be fascinating to continue to watch. And you don't need to know astrology to know that.
Yep. I
Amazing.
don't know
Epic.
when this episode is coming out, but like
Probably tomorrow.
Like
this
literally, yeah,
upcoming
I'm
today.
gonna lock in. Yeah, it's probably gonna come out tomorrow.
Baby girl's going to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yes.
lock in queen.
Cool. So,
I was gonna say that this Aquarius season, which we're already in Aquarius
mhm.
season, but it's our first eclipse season going into Aquarius season in a couple weeks. And so I anticipate that we will see some very big collective themes around Aquarius because we've got a lot of planets in Aquarius right now. It's activating Pluto in Aquarius for like the first time for real.
Yeah.
And like, don't be surprised if there's something major that and I don't want to fearmonger again, but a major thing could very well happen in terms of um AI or, whatever. But also you can look at it on a personal level too. Like I'm an Aquarius rising. And so I anticipate all of this energy in eclipse season and stuff like that could be very activating to my life path or my body or, some of the something along those themes. So people can look and or book with me or Kelsey.
I was
Look at
just gonna
Ashley.
plug that. I was just gonna plug that.
What
Cool.
So
area of your life is about to blow up? No, just kidding.
Mine's my 8th house, and I'm like, "Let's see how my investments do." I have some crazy things going on.
Ooh.
Super fun. So, we wanted to have you so Ashley knows this, Ashley. So, Ashley was going to take a peek at my chart and give some takeaways. Would you prefer to do that next or chat a little bit more about human design, which we've been on the astrology train, which has been lovely to me, but up to you.
Don't care, just ask me questions,
Yeah,
and
let's
I
just
will
let's stick with it.
and
That's
I
your
will
gut for sure.
answer.
okay. Yeah. So before we go into this, I love when Kelsey says first blush reading of
First
Kelsey's
blush.
chart. First blush,
I
so
speak
cute.
in riddles. I don't know.
I would love to hit a little bit of human design, and I think it's very intentional that we landed at talking about mostly astrology. So just to give the listeners a little nugget, you talked about the gut response that some people have. Maybe we can share with them how they find their mode of operation or how they respond to the world. But just some thoughts on human design, and then we'll run it right back and we'll keep this astrology themed.
Love it. Okay, so with human design, there's 5 human design types, and 70% of the world is made up of 2 types. And so there's a lot of conditioning around this whole like trust your gut, trust your intuition, right? This is where the how of human design is it's like chef's kiss because not everyone has a consistent gut response. It comes to people in different ways. And the gut response is specifically for generators and manifesting generators. And so for these 3 other types, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors that may not know this, especially reflectors are only 1% of the population. And they're essentially a completely open energy field, and they shift and change with the moon and with who they're around because they're so open. They are the only type that can uh, experience all 5 energy, like all 5 types. So if you don't know that and you have been living your life in a certain way of like, go, go, go energy type of thing, which is also a very generator coded thing, generator and manifesting generator. Um, you're going to be like, is something wrong with me because I don't feel that? Or like for my projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, for example, those types need more sleep than generators and manifesting generators do. They need like naps and like spurts of work versus not. And they don't have a consistent gut response. They have urges, they have channelings, they have, it's just different. For the generator types, we feel it like very viscerally in our body. It's like an inner GPS. That doesn't mean we always listen to it, but it's there. And so I kind of forgot what the original question was, but that
For where
just
people could find their own, like how they respond to the world, if not that sacral or emotional that comes with
yeah.
And maybe
generator
even like
again.
a high level human design, how it's different than astrology for anyone that's just not familiar at all with human design. And little overview would be awesome.
Yeah, so human design is like uh you know how I said astrology was like the planetary blueprint? This is like your natural bodily energetic blueprint. Like how does my body feel alignment? And this is where like I feel like my expertise kind of comes in with having like a trauma and grief informed lens because I have complex PTSD and I've had PTSD multiple times in my life. And there's a lot of messaging with human design around, like, for generators, for example, just do what lights you up. But when you're grieving or going through a traumatic event or dealing with, the way that your brain was wired, it's like sometimes the thing that lights me up isn't the thing that's in alignment for me. And so knowing your human design and then understanding like how it actually feels in the body viscerally. And then what I like to do with my clients is work on that through breath work and through, whatever other offers that I have going on for them. We can find that through using their human design and seeing what tools align with their specific energy. They can find it. I mean, my favorite way to use it, you do not have to pay for anything in order to get this information. But I just use my human design. That's like there's a lot of different
The
human
website,
design
correct?
apps. Yep, there's lots of apps,
myhumandesign.com.
lots of websites. I just like my human design because their charts are the prettiest in my opinion. And so I use those ones for my readings. But you can go to myhumandesign.com or you can just like I will plug myself. I love when people send me their birth time. You need your birth time, your birth date, your birth location, just like astrology. There are things we can do. We can talk about that privately in a message. There's things you can do if you don't have your exact birth time. But the more accurate your birth time, the the better for both of us. Um, and so yeah, you can either ask me or go look yourself, and it will be your strategy in human design. That's what it's called, your strategy, whether it's to respond, whether it's to whatever. There's lots of them. And then your authority in human design is also very relevant. Emotional authority versus, sacral authority, for example. It can really help you see, like, do I take time to make decisions? Is my truth in the now? Is it not in the now? You can learn those things through human design.
I love it. Yeah. So I would recommend you all book with Ashley. But if
Oh.
you're going to human design, myhumandesign.com, what you'll see is a spit out with like a human form and then little, basically kind of like chakras or energy centers. And so what will happen is you'll see how your energy is moving it through what they call gates or channels. And then of these different energy centers, one is like your head, one is your heart. You'll see if it's defined or not. So when you're looking at your chart, if it's like colored in these energy centers, then you basically like influence out into the world. And if it's not, then you're influenced. So all to say, you should probably get a reading with Ashley, but you can see where, for example, my head is defined and Ashley's is open or undefined, correct? Ashley L?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Both of us.
Oh, both of you, but of
No
course,
problem.
twinny Ashleys. So Ashley, well, both Ashleys probably, but I know for a fact Ashley L will want more feedback on things like, hey, like I'm gonna bounce an idea off of, and she's kind of influenced where she was sharing with me that she asked some people about the pod, and I was like horrified that I would never do that, even if she wanted me to, because if I receive too many inputs in my head about it, I would lose my clarity or energy flow about it, like, because I influence out and I'm not influenced, but my emotional space is undefined, so I'm more influenced. So all to say, it's complicated and it's very helpful with a reader, but what you'll get is a chart of your energy, and you'll be able to find, and like once you get into the nuance of your strategy and your authorities, like, do you have this gut feeling in the moment? Do you not? Like, there's really interesting and helpful ways to construct, like, why am I like this? And how can I stop going against my own energy, thinking that's the correct way for me to arrive at an outcome when it's just not productive for me.
Mm, so good. So we did a little pause, everybody, and just talked about how we want to push this forward because we went into astrology so deep. We're like, let's keep it there. And Ashley dropped a bomb about human design that just
Oh.
rocked me and Kelsey. And I want everyone to know. And so I'm going to let you drop the bomb and let us know what to do with it. What do we do with this
Okay.
bomb? Now lock in, peepees.
So
Scared.
allow allow me to drop the bomb. So the bomb is that human design as a system, the person who created it, his name's Ra Uruhu. He took a bunch of systems and put it all together into this human design system. So it's based off of, astrology, Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah, the chakras. I'm probably missing something, but
Genetics or something.
there's all the things, right? And when he developed the system, in all of his books, he talks about the year 2026 and how everything's going to change. And I find this so interesting because this correlates with astrology transits, and it also correlates with um like the Chinese zodiac too, which I'm not like super well versed in that, but it's like all of these systems are saying like everything's about to revolutionarily change. And human design was one of those systems. So human design as a system was only meant to be the way that it is right now until 2026. Every
Through
human,
2026 or it's over?
I would have to do more research on
Sure.
it and refresh because it's been a few years since I've known this information. Um, yeah, I actually discovered this when I learned about human design. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And isn't it funny how, like, the last 5 years, like, it feels like there was a world before 2020 and a world
Mhm.
after 2020, and everything just feels different? Well, the same thing's gonna happen in 2026, and so I don't know if it's the full, uh, length of 2026 or if it started, like, January 1st, all the humans are different now.
Have a little piece.
He didn't know either at the time, you know? He was like, "I don't know how this is going to look in the future." But essentially, the humans that are born as the human design system evolves, um, the solar plexus or emotional center in human design is changing. Um, if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, but if I remember correctly, I believe it's going away. And I find this interesting because it's at the same time that, like, all of this possible integration of human and tech is coming in. So like, this is my tinfoil hat type of thing. I
Yep,
almost
it's
wonder
fun.
if it's like when we integrate with like brain chips and stuff like that, that
That's a
we
fun
will be able
theory.
to program our emotions to
Mm,
like be different, or like we're going to become this hybrid species of human.
what a
And so it's
trip.
gonna change.
That's
I
crazy, like,
don't
That's
know,
easy.
but
crazy. Yeah.
that is a
Well,
possibility of what it could mean.
my lens, I love astrology, but my lens is always more like just straight spiritual girl, like channeled stuff. Everyone that
Mhm.
listens knows. And there's been for a long time a theory that there will be a split kind of in the collective. It's not like you won't see people that split into the other part of the collective, but it's like the vibration or how you're perceiving our world will change for certain groups of people. And so you could literally be experiencing the same sort of like you're in the same, I don't know, city or the same year, but it's your into your conscious awareness totally a totally different experience. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. This is my tinfoil hat as well. I didn't even know this about human design, but it's just funny, like you said, it's supported by other systems or belief processes. And then there's a extremely common belief in the spiritual community for a long time that we're nearing kind of like the end of an era before this collective split. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Wow. So I have the human design app, and since I've had it, which has only been a few months, this one's only for our visual. So come online if you ain't. It shows like who's being born right now, what their chart would look like.
Mhm.
And the most of them have only the heart and the G center defined. This one has the emotional authority defined, but the solar plexus has not been defined. And up at the very top, it's been counting down to 2027 since I've got the app. And I'm like, that's weird. Why not 2026? And the
Now
human design year is different than the Gregorian or the seasonal. They're all different. Like, can they just pick a day and agree?
Time doesn't exist.
For
So
real.
there are 362 days to 2027. So we just started year 2026 on, I want to say it was, well, what was 3 days ago? On the 21st in the human design calendar. So, Ashley, do you think that human design will go away for the people that are born from 2027 onward? Because if this is a snapshot, we don't use it the same way we use astrology, and it's just a snapshot of when we were born. Us who have been born up until 2027 can still use this system the way it is now. But you think it's going to go away or it's going to shift and there will be two different ways to read it for people born before and after that date? Does that question make
Yeah,
sense?
it makes total sense. So this is my feeling on it. None of us know, right? Because even when Ra Urahu channeled the whole system, and he's human, he was human. Humans are flawed too, right? It's not like there couldn't have been mistakes or something. But when he channeled the system, um, even he didn't know. He was like, I don't know what it's going to mean in 2026 or 2027 or whenever the year was. But what I think is going to happen is it's not going to go away, but the system is going to evolve just like astrology has. Astrology is an ancient system and it's not read in the same way today that it was when it very first was read. Simply because of the fact of like there were technology restrictions and like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, like none of those planets were even discovered yet. So I think it's going to be one of those things where the system changes, but someone else has to evolve the system. So, like the human design experts today are going to be the ones evolving the system as
So
it
lit.
goes.
I'm glad
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
have to burn human design to the ground. I thought I was just throwing it over my shoulder.
Well, and even
Sorry,
if
Kelsey, I cut
like
you off.
I still think it's like a huge, like, I don't want people to think like, oh, human design is expired, so why get a reading now? Well, if you were born before 2027, the system that exists now is still extremely relevant to you. And if you've never heard of it, it's still going to apply to you. It's just going to be shifting to something different as the new type of human gets evolved, I
I'm gonna
guess.
throw up. This is
Dude.
crazy.
I'm literally gonna sit with, like, our AI overlords and say, like, "Be nice to me because my emotional center is undefined." And then the
Thank
robot
you.
babies are all, "Can you just toughen up?"
Robot babies, robo babies. Wow,
Trolls.
nothing like a hard pivot, bomb drop, and let's hard pivot back to astrology and get a first one for Kelsey's
Please,
reading.
please edit in Ross from Friends going, "Pivot! Pivot!"
Okay, heard.
I have to just try to not leave and go study human design to try to channel the next wave of human design right now. Like, whatever.
Kelsey
We can
is
go
our
back.
leader.
Nah, I love astrology. Let's go back to it. So yeah, so we provided Ashley with my birth time to just take a quick high level peek at the chart. And maybe Ashley, you can talk a little bit about your process when you're doing a reading. Like, what do you look for? How does the flow kind of work? And then we instructed Ashley that she is not supposed to give me a full reading. We will not put that ask on her live on the pod, but it's just kind of interesting to see just from a guru master perspective what jumps out.
Okay. So I will be honest on this podcast. This is happening completely live. I did not get
Sure.
Kelsey's chart beforehand.
Correct.
So this is totally first impressions.
First blush.
First blush.
First
First
blush.
blush. So cute.
Yes. Okay. So whenever whenever I go about a reading, I kind of look at the chart as a whole at first. Like, okay, what is the very first thing that I see in a person's chart? What's the first planet I see in a chart? What's their rising sign? I almost focus more on the rising sign than I do the sun sign at first, for a couple reasons. Number one, primarily being most people think that when you look at like astrology horoscopes, that it's based on your sun sign and they look at your sun sign. And I used to think that too for many years. Like I would see Scorpio things and it's like this full moon in Pisces is doing this, that, and the other for you. Um, but it's actually based off of your rising sign.
That part, people. That
It is
part.
based on your rising sign. So if you are not looking at your rising sign when you're looking at these horoscopes, it is not going to be, I mean, it's like a secondary application. But because of how astrology works, it's your astrology wheel is divided by 12 pieces of pie of life, as I like to call them. It's the astrology houses. And so that's the very first thing I look at in a chart. What is the person's first house? What is their what's their most dominant planet in their chart based on their rising sign? So because that will tell me, like even transit wise, what planet is the most activated in a person's chart when life themes are happening. And then I can kind of go from there and break it down more. And I also look for stelliums too, is what they're called. That's when we have 3 or more personal planets in one sign. And so I'm also able to see like if somebody, let's say somebody is a Cancer sun, but they have 5 planets in Leo, they're going to be a whole lot more of a center of attention type of Cancer than a homebody, behind the scenes type of Cancer, right? So those are kind of the first things I look at. First thing I see in Kelsey's chart, of course, I look at sun, moon, and rising as well. Um, Kelsey's a Taurus sun, Taurus moon. Cancer rising, 1 degree. So, like, potent Cancer rising. um, so w- one of the biggest things I would look at with a Cancer rising chart, Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so you and having Cancer in your first house, the house of self, the house of body, the house of um, who am I? Is gonna be directly correlated with what the moon is doing in your chart and what your natal moon placement is. So I also see that, I said Taurus sun, Taurus moon. This is so funny because I was listening to your guys' podcast a few weeks ago, and I texted Ashley and I was like, her voice just sounds like a warm hug.
Hmm.
And that is Taurus,
Mhm.
Taurus sun, Taurus moon. Fun fact, I actually have a lot of Taurus sun, Taurus moon people in my life.
You get
Is
It's
it?
this a
very interesting.
serendipitous meeting? Look at this meet cute happening.
No, I'm excited. This
Or
is too much.
even if a person doesn't have a Taurus sun, I have a lot of Taurus moons in my life, which I
Hey,
find very interesting. And so our moon represents um how we emotionally feel at home, how we emotionally express within relationships as well. I almost feel like a moon sign is more important to know than a sun sign
I've been
sometimes.
saying that. I've been saying that.
It is, because we're emotional beings, we are humans, and we have relationships with people, and so when you see, this sign is not compatible with this sign, well, what are their moon signs? What's their Venus? What's going on?
Thank
Like,
you.
it's a whole chart, not just one thing. So, it's fun that I'm reading a Taurus moon person because I can think off the top of my head of like all of the
Example.
similarities of patterns. And I'm curious if yours aligns. Um, so with you having Taurus moon in the 11th house in whole sign, I'm a whole sign astrologer, folks. Um, your community Your community is emotionally huge for you. Does that feel like
Mhm.
it resonates?
Yeah, just kinda making a podcast to make it, just pouring all my love and energy into it right now.
Yes, yes. The 11th house represents our people, our community, the people that we have shared goals, shared ideas with. And so you're going to feel like emotionally, which is the moon, at home being in Taurus. Taurus is an energy of like home. It's like I describe Taurus energy as waking up in the morning and smelling your cup of coffee. Like that, or sitting on a back porch and watching a sunset. That is very Taurus to me. Um,
Fun.
and it's like whatever makes you comfortable, whatever's nourishing, whatever that is. And so knowing that in your chart that your moon, your emotional being is in the 11th house of people, well, it's probably not good for you to self-isolate, I would
Mhm.
say.
Mhm, totally, totally, and I actually have a tendency to do that a little bit with so much Cancer and Taurus, just being a homebody, but, yeah, I think for any listener or anyone that's commented about listening to the pod, it doesn't just stick with me as, "Oh, cool, you watched." It's in my heart center, so grateful and so inspired and so secured by the concept of building this community and adding some love or levity to someone in their day that just completely moves me, so I appreciate all the comments that we've gotten for that. So comment below, shameless plug.
Yes. Do you want to know more? Do you want to see
Want to
more,
be
or is
like
that
too
it?
it doesn't need to be like too Kelsey ego mode, but that's cute. Maybe one more takeaway on the chart generally, and then I can tell you something interesting about the Saturn Neptune stuff that we've been talking about. But yeah,
Mm.
then we can move on. But it's cool, like to see your process live in this way and in this heart-centered way is super cool.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm a line 2 in human design. If you don't know what that is, we can discuss it at a later time. But it essentially means I'm the hermit and I process information better by myself. So I'm actually the opposite of, you know, what Taurus in a community set would
Mhm.
be.
Mhm.
I have like no 11th house placements other than my
Mhm.
MC. So, um, but when it comes to my readings and stuff, I go freaking deep. I have 5 or 6 planets in Scorpio. And so I
Yeah.
excavate the chart and I go deep, 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 deep. Um, but the okay, let me look. I don't want to like put you on blast. So what
Put me on blast, baby. You got it.
That's
I'm
what
like,
people
what
are
are
here
you
for, is
com-
the
Coca-Cola.
tea.
I'm like, what tea are you comfortable with?
Let's go.
Okay.
100% of it. I'm not
Okay.
very private.
Okay. So, let me ask you this. Do you first house or seventh house with what I see? Those are the two things that I'm seeing first. First house or seventh
7th.
house?
Let's go 7th.
You want to go seventh? Okay. Mind you guys, this is my first time meeting Kelsey. I know nothing about you. So, other than that, you're a fellow astrology nerd. Okay. Seventh house. This is our house of one-on-one partnership. You have it
Mhm.
in Capricorn. I
Mhm.
also see that you have Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn
And
all in
Saturn.
that seventh house. All three of them are retrograde, which
Mhm.
does matter.
Mhm.
What I see with all of this put together is that you will likely. Are you married?
No, ma'am, not a Capricorn with the Saturn in the 7th.
I was gonna say, you will likely get married later in
Yeah.
life, if at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You will likely get married later in life. Having Uranus there also creates like instability in
Mhm.
one-on-one partnership and one-on-one
Mhm.
relationships. Feeling like one-on-one partnerships can be so the seventh house is what I also call like the house of projection. If we're not embodying the energy that we're being asked to embody in one-on-one relationships, then it's going to come out as a mirror in a
Mhm.
relationship. So with
Totally.
you, with what I see with Saturn in the 7th, Capricorn energy in the 7th, this and Uranus in the 7th, this is instability in relationships, um authoritarian figures.
Mhm.
This is also something I saw with like you have Mars in the first house too.
Mhm.
This can be like other people controlling you.
Mhm.
Same with the Capricorn, the Capricorn 7th house and having Saturn there. It's like you feel small, you feel restricted. And if you are not owning your authority, which is what Capricorn represents, you're
Mhm.
not standing 10 toes deep in your authority and feeling safe with that, it's going to continue to attract these one-on-one partnership dynamics, whether it's friendships, whether it's business partnerships, whether it's romantic, in a way that they are more authoritarian over you and keeping you small instead of allowing you to be in your authority in your one-on-one relationships.
Fully. See, she didn't need to know me. She sees me, guys. I'm
Did I
happy
Wild.
expo
to give a
did
little
I
bit of
expose
feedback.
you?
I not in the best way, because being a
That's my
person
job.
means, yeah, you've got like challenges and gifts. So, yeah, well, we won't go crazy into it, but that first seventh axis for me is tough. The self and then one-on-one long-term relationships, because I've got malefics in there. So Mars and Saturn just create challenges. Mars is in my first house of self. Saturn is delay, restriction, seventh house.
And then having Cancer there in the first house too is like a tendency to overly nurture other
Yeah,
people
I have
too.
Chiron conjunct Mars on the ascendant at the very early degrees. So, yeah,
Yep.
so I
Ouch.
I have really, and even long time, it's not that long of a pod, but our listeners in the pod know that long-term dating stuff has been very hard for me. I've been very open with that. But yeah, it's interesting that the 11th house, the the Taurus moon and the Venus all in the 11th, my friendships have been insulated a little bit from this, my longer friendships. Some of them blew up in my Saturn return, let's get real, but that's been easier. But the themes on my one-on-one long-term romantic partnerships and then some of my work longer one-on-one relationships have had that authoritative state. So from a work perspective, I work as a triple Taurus, and I have worked in real estate finance for the last like 15 years. I'm actually leaving it all now to do spiritual work with Saturn and Neptune entering Aries in my 10th. But my romantic
Oh.
relationships have had that, where I've had like controlling partners, a few stalkers. We won't get in trauma dump on our beautiful listeners, all of that, but it's been a learning kind of growth edge for me that's been stark and challenging and pervasive. And for people that don't know astrology, she's saying you might get married later in life. So Capricorn, which is my seventh house, is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in there. So Saturn usually, if you've heard of the Saturn return, the dreaded Saturn return, at around 30, your Saturn arrives back at where it was when you were born. And after that, you've kind of reset some of the karmic or challenging things that have happened. So anyway, so post 30, you have a better shot. I'm very glad I didn't know all this in my 20s trying to get married. 'Cause that would've stunk, but yeah, it's spot on. You're a very good astrologer, and it's been I don't think it's on blast at all. Everyone know in this was listening to this pod knows
Mm.
that that's been a challenge for me, and also something I'm very excited to kind of master moving forward. It has not broken my spirit whatsoever. Like, I really think I'm a person that will end up married and in a beautifully equal power dynamic, supportive relationship, and Saturn kicking my booty this whole time will have made sure that it's structured in a way to be beautiful, but it's been horrifyingly painful.
Mm. I have a thought. I so I sent both of you this too. LOL, my two little astrologers. A video I saw on Instagram about the hardest moon placements. And my Scorpio moon was 12 out of 12 tough. But what was so beautiful is it said, however, if these placements do the work and go into it and can master that, it will be the best moon. They will have the most balance and the most peace, even more than these Venus placement moons. So I just thought of that and your situation and how it's going to be so the same. Like all the work and all the grittiness you're doing is your soul contract. Like, no, I'm a freaking grind and I'm going to grow and I'm going to develop and I'm going to be so
Fail.
good to, yeah, all the things to have the most beautiful, magnificent, nourishing, delicious one on one relationship, be it later in life or never.
Yeah, and like paying attention to all of the because you have Capricorn in the 7th, every sign has shadow and like embodied sides. And so if you have been generally attracted to like the more authoritarian, controlling, too structured, too rigid side that a Capricorn can be, if you've been attracted to that in your one-on-one relationships, well, look at the other side of Capricorns. Capricorns are incredibly hardworking. They're
Mhm.
usually pretty stable. They might not be
Mhm.
mentally stable, but that's all right.
Quiz.
they they are typically like a rock, but you also need to be that person in a relationship that a Capricorn can feel safe coming to. And that doesn't mean that, like, oh, you're going to marry a Capricorn. You very
Right,
well
right.
could, though. You very well
Yeah.
could.
You can marry me if you want.
If you want.
Done.
She'll
Sorry,
just shrug.
Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. That's cool.
Capricorns are like mature. So, like, looking at those themes of like, who can handle a real woman, especially
Mhm.
you having such strong Taurus energy where it's very
Mhm.
Venusian.
Yeah,
Taurus is ruled by Venus, and you need to be able to be like soft and be able to like let your walls down in your relationship too. And if you
totally.
haven't been able to do that without
Not
it
at
being
all.
controlled, then
Mm,
look elsewhere and do the work you
mm.
need to do to be that partner to show up in that kind of relationship.
Yeah,
That's
And
so
this,
beautiful.
my
oh, go
big
ahead.
take my big takeaway now is just to get into that feminine because I'm all Taurus and Cancer. It shouldn't be that hard, but I've kind of had this hard exterior of super masculine doing energy, especially building my real estate finance career and just life circumstances and things. So I think that will be a critical transition for me in my dating life and even my career where I'm not in these very authoritative, controlling environments. Just to bring that feminine energy online for me, which is just been
Mm.
suppressed kind of artificially, honestly. I think that'll
Castrated.
castrated. We always say that because I take birth control for my skin, and it's like, "Why did I castrate myself for
Oh,
skin?"
yeah, chemical castration. I see.
That. Yeah, so maybe I look into that, but later. Thank you for looking through the chart.
I
That was
love
really
it.
interesting and for
That
me,
was
I
so
would,
good.
one more
well,
little tidbit that I would give is if you haven't already, like, wait, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
36.
36. Okay. Take the next couple years to start studying Uranus opposition.
Ooh, okay.
That could be a very, very, okay. Nobody talks about the Uranus
Let's
opposition
go.
period. It is the midlife crisis, aka. So
Mhm.
Saturn return is like your quarter life crisis, and Uranus
Hmm.
opposition is like midlife.
Mhm.
And yours is happening on your first and seventh house axis.
Okay.
So there could be some themes there that come up in a couple years. It usually happens around 40.
Oh,
Um, so
Amazing.
start studying up on that and see what you need to do and prepare for because it's going to be very relevant for, who am I, who's myself, who is Kelsey versus who am I with others. That's
mhm.
going to be a
Say no
big theme
more.
coming up.
She says study up, like, I'm gonna look at it until tomorrow.
For the next 14 hours, I will be in my cave
Yes.
100%.
reading online on this.
And we can text
Just
all
him.
all the questions and findings.
God, don't offer that
Amazing.
up. That's cool. Thank you. Yeah, that was really powerful. I was curious, as one last astrology question for you, do you have a favorite placement in your chart?
What's my favorite astrology placement in my chart? Um, it would have to be a top. I can't just pick one. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, you could pick a couple. You could pick one that's in the running. I get it.
Okay. So my number one favorite is my Scorpio stellium. I
Yes.
love my Scorpio stellium. It's so, I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with it sometimes because sometimes I'm like, could I be less deep and less cathartic sometimes? Like, could
Just
life maybe teach me transformation in a different way than crisis? That would be great. um, but I do love it because it has made me who I am, and I'm able to see people in ways that, like, they can't even see themselves, and it's a beautiful gift. But right behind it, are you familiar with Lilith?
I am.
Okay, so I had Lilith and Taurus in my fourth house. This is like I am one with my ancestors and I break my lineage. Like, it's like I have all of this female power on the other side that gets to assist me in breaking these cycles. And I feel a lot of pride in being like, that's my wild woman energy. That's what Lilith represents for the listeners. And with it being in the 4th house, that's our house of like our inner world, our home life, where we came from, our ancestry. And so my wild woman tendencies are to like be one with my ancestors and to, do
You
voodoo like things that probably aren't approved for the internet and
NSFW. Just
burn
drop.
my incense and talk to my dead homies. I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
I have Lilith in Libra in the 4th, so couldn't be more parallel path
Similar,
there. Yeah.
very similar.
Ugh,
So
beautiful.
good.
Sick with how smart and wise and amazing you are.
Oh, guys, that's so
This has
nice.
been so, 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 so good. Before we tell everyone how they can message you to book a session, or if you want to just plug your booking thing, I'll let you do that. But we have one more question. Since we are a community of people who carry both the spiritual world and the material world, what is your favorite way to unwind or to ground or plug back in that has nothing to do with spirituality, well, it can have to do with the spirituality because everything's spirituality. That has nothing to do with your astrology or human design, but just your humanness.
Or like something that do you mean something that like
Something
how
that
do I say
anchors
it?
you back
Something
in.
that but are you meaning like something that the spiritual girlies would maybe not? Is that what you
Yes.
mean?
That
Okay,
part,
okay.
yes.
Um, I have to be honest, I don't have a lot.
That's kinda
Um
me coded.
Because I have so much Scorpio in my chart that it's like everything is deep and cathartic and spiritual, and
Yeah.
What do you mean?
everything is intense. And so, but the one thing I will say, I love me a chemical peel. I
Mm,
love me a facial. I love me a chemical peel. I do get, even though I have let my esthetician license go now, which was
mm,
that was a whole thing in itself a couple years ago. I still go to the place that I used to rent from and see my
amazing.
colleagues there and get my face done. So that would be it.
Excellent. So then, okay, no restrictions. How do you ground or stabilize in your spiritual way?
Mm, so many ways. Number one, baths.
Ugh,
I mean,
love it.
if I go more than like 2 or 3 days without a bath, I'm unwell.
I'm
So much Scorpio must live in a
gonna say
bath.
the Scorpio.
In a
That's
dark,
funny.
moody bath with incense and candles and dim light and yeah, I will just live in there. That's my
Mm,
very favorite. Breath work is probably number 2, even though like it's funny because as a facilitator, I think people have this perception that we just do breath work every day. I don't do it probably as much as I should. But every
same.
time I do, Ashley can confirm that like I almost every session I'm like, we need to do this more.
Yeah.
I'm a
You
Gemini
love it. You
moon.
go hard in the paint.
I'm a Gemini moon, and so my mind needs to connect with my body. And baths do that, and breath work does that.
Baths and breath work, double B.
Baths and the
Bee for the
double
pee-pee.
Bs.
For this PP.
That's so true, though. I thought, Ashley L., that you do breath work, like, every second of the day.
People will be like, well, you know breath work and so like you're doing it all day. I'm like, should if you want to put that on me, I will let you have that image of me, but sure don't.
Cute, cute.
LOL. Well, how can people reach you if they would like to do astrology or human design reading or any of your services, plug yourself,
Yeah.
and we can put anything in
So
the show notes you need.
as all of these planetary energies are shifting, as am I, so I'm kind of lost in the abyss right now. I don't have I have been taking a little bit of a step back from my business, but for you guys, for your
Are
listeners,
the peepees a
um,
peepees exclusive?
a PP exclusive. I would love to work with anyone behind the scenes. I'm just having a hard time with social media and online
Mm.
marketing right now, and it's a phase. But if you would like to work with me, Ashley and Kelsey will put my Square booking link in the
Oh,
notes
no.
or whatever. That'll show like all of my services that I offer currently. They're all virtual right now on Zoom. If you do a reading with me, it is recorded, and I also include like a nice little PDF for you that includes all of the things we went over as well as the recording.
It's so good.
Um,
I've done them. I've done astrocartography, moon cycles, year ahead. It's insane.
yep, I have
Oh.
lots of different ones, and it'll say in there like what it's for too. I make it pretty straightforward in my descriptions. So if you want to book, you can book with me on there. It will send a appointment request to me. I will confirm it, or if it doesn't work, then we'll figure out a time. And then if you know Ashley or Kelsey personally and you're listening to this, I do feel comfortable enough with direct referrals. So if you guys want to give them my email or something with my contact info, I'm more than happy with that. I'm just not trying to put my personal phone number out on the internet for everyone to see. So
Yeah. Not in these transitions that we're going through.
Just the
not
end of
in
the
these
world.
weird times we live in. So, you can book with me either through the booking site or contact me, Ashley L, or Kelsey directly, and they'll get you to me
Amazing.
if you're
Thank you for
unsure of what to book.
Yes, I love it.
They're like,
Thank you
all of
so
it.
much. All of it.
Thank
Book
you.
all of it.
All of it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
Yeah.
was very fun.
I can underscore, as someone who hasn't, been a lifelong friend of yours, how wise and gentle-spirited and beautiful and complex you are. This has been such a fascinating conversation. So thank you so much for all of your time. Just going through truths of life casually for a couple hours. Appreciate it. It was so awesome to
Absolutely,
meet you.
always. And now we have each other's charts and we can go study each other and bond over that.
Cute.
Yay!
I love it. Anything
Awesome.
else from either gal? All right, peepees. Then we'll end it with a
Wait,
she opened her
peepees.
mouth. She's got something.
Can I have something that came through?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I give
Please.
your can I give your peepees 15% off if they're
A
listening?
PP exclusive.
If you made it 2 hours into this, you deserve 15% off. So
Wow.
Amazing.
I will create a code for that. Let's do code PPs.
Peepees.
PPS.
PPS. All
Okay.
caps. PPS.
Wow. Peepees, you are
Amazing.
blessed.
So good.
Any
Okay.
service you want.
Ugh, what
I'll
a
be booking a
treat.
solar
Thank
return. Guys, like, share, subscribe, comment, DM
Mm.
us. You made it
All
2
of
hours.
it.
What's one more second? Please
What's
come
one
back
more
next week.
Yes. We love you guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.